Ooh, what you gonna do when Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic run wild on you? Jokic and Murray get the win in OKC. How now, MVP Cal?
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday, and for our bonus episodes. Appreciate you being an everydayer and hanging out with us after the Nuggets get a huge win versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Folks hanging out with us in the chat, I appreciate each and every one of you, because I know that as we record this at 8:39 p.m. Mountain Time, the DNVR is going live, and I know how strong their community is, and we love those guys, and we support those guys, and we want good things for those guys. But my in-laws are in town, so I need to record this episode earlier, so I appreciate you guys. We usually try to make room for DNVR on the live shows. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Locked On Nuggets. Today's show, we'll talk about I guess Peyton Watson's back in the rotation. We'll talk about the MVP race and what this win means for that. We'll break all of it down in hyper detail. Well, Eeyore.
Who could you be talking about?
Well, Eeyore. They're never going to beat any good teams. They're just not that good. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray go off, and when they shoot like hell, like absolute fire, this is gonna be like
140, 127, and all they had to do was shoot 18 of 32 from 3-point range and 61% from the field.
Approved.
But they did so versus the number one defense in the NBA, one of the best defensive teams that we've ever seen.
And Matt, those were open shots. I will maintain.
Great process.
They were great process shots. This was exactly what the Nuggets were trying to do. They accomplished their game plan better than the Thunder could. I thought that this was a fantastic game plan drawn up by Malone, drawn up by the Nuggets coaching staff. I think that is going to get kind of tossed under the rug by a lot of folks that just want to point out the bad stuff and avoid the good stuff. This was great open shot process by everybody. And Jokic trusted guys. Murray trusted guys. Peyton Watson goes 4 of 4 from 3. Christian Brown doesn't play well in the first half and then plays pretty well in the second half, I'll say. And just a lot of contributors all across the board in a game where, Denver couldn't really get that many stops either. They struggled on defense, but it doesn't matter when you're on fire. And they were on fire tonight.
They certainly were. It was great offensive process. They just played really, really, really well. And this is a game that I think you can go back and forth eternally on, where the Thunder fans are going to be like, well, J-Dub was out at the half. And J-Dub's a better player than Aaron Gordon. He just is. He's been a better player than Aaron Gordon this season.
Aaron was out for the whole game.
Yeah. And J-Dub, got hurt early and missed and was out at the half. Aaron was not out for the entire game, but he was out for most of it. He was out for longer. Yeah, he played the meeting or on this one, but I mean, yesterday.
No, I'm talking about this game specifically.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think you can just kind of go back and forth on this. So it's it's a back-to-back, and it's a back-to-back for both teams, and on and on and on and on. Denver continues to be absolute nails on back-to-backs. So I want to take a big picture thing here and just tell you, hey, this is kind of what I mentioned yesterday, is that episode aged beautifully for me. Beautifully for me. I was like, hey, Jamal Murray looked good, got open looks, just missed them. Cha-ching. Hey, the Nuggets actually had some good things going there. Bing. It was good. But the big picture overall, they're 2-2 versus the Thunder. They split the season series with Oklahoma City. Not many teams have done that.
Yeah.
Probably more than OKC wants. If you look amongst the playoff teams, probably more than they wanted. It's great to have all these wins versus the Eastern Conference, but you'd rather have it versus the Nuggets. And while it's not going to matter for tiebreaker, but it does mean that Denver has shown hey, yes, they were without J-Dub, we were without AG process-wise, strength on strength, we can split with these guys. And that matters. It just does. It just matters.
And especially when you've got the experience advantage like Denver does. And like you talked about this. I don't know if it was online or offline, but you talked about 2-2 in a 2-2 series, get to a game 5, get to a situation where they were up by a little bit. You come roaring back. The building is getting quiet. Everybody's getting antsy. And you're like, okay, now you have to play basketball. And I'm just going to sit here and say that as long as Jokic and Murray are healthy, as long as Denver's process remains good, like they have a shot. They do. And I have maintained that throughout the entire time. I don't think it's a good shot. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I do think that because here's the thing. They still gave up 127. They still gave up a whole bunch of open shots. Like this was...
I think, not to go down this road because we just got to talk about how great the win was, but like I think that's part of what frustrates you is like you're stuck in limbo where you're like, I can't count them out, but I can't believe in them either.
Yeah, like I want to believe in them. Like here's the thing. The analyst side of me wants to like see what's happening here and be like, okay, so I know what the process is supposed to look like, and the process hasn't been that for the entire year. The fan side of me is like, okay, Jokic and Murray, I've watched this team. I've watched Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown and guys like that win a championship before. It's not that different from the year that they won it. So that's the thing is like, it's very difficult to parse those two things for me. And I'm glad that you get games like this and tough situations like this and where they can show off that resiliency, because they haven't had that many times where they've just been great against these top tier teams. This was really the first one in a while, Matt.
I have two hot takes. My first hot take is that they peaked too early last year. And now they're peaking at the right time.
Wow.
That's hot take number one. Here's hot take number two. And this is just me tripling down on what I already put out there. Jamal's playing better than he did all of last year. This is better. This is the best basketball Jamal has played since at least 2023 and maybe ever. He's playing awesome. Everything that Jamal is doing. Jamal ran Alex Caruso. Caruso got him on one possession in the fourth quarter. Second quarter, third quarter, Jamal ran Caruso off 3 screens and was bursting and did not look like it was. There were times early this season when he was in that struggle mode where it was like, yeah, you run him out of screens, but the guy's like right behind him because he's got no burst. It was effortless. Like Jamal was able to get into those shots clean. Yeah. It was such a phenomenal job of navigating space because his body is back to wherever it needed to be. Maybe it wasn't the body. Maybe there was nothing wrong. Maybe it was the spirit. Maybe it's the vibe. I don't know. But this is the Jamal Murray that won a championship for the Denver Nuggets. This is the Jamal Murray that is capable of going off for 50 in a playoff series, putting up a 30-point triple-double, winning an NBA championship. And that fundamentally changes things. And if we are going to have torn him down, rightfully so, the way that everybody in this town did for 3 months, we owe it to a player that has given what he has to the city of Denver to lift him up now and say, this guy's playing awesome basketball.
100%. And like, people weren't dumb when they graded him out as like a top 20 or borderline top 20 player in the NBA following 2023. He played at that level. He was that guy. It's really difficult to parse sometimes when he was a little bit inconsistent in the regular seasons, but then was a killer in the playoffs and a killer in basketball, like in just those tough situations that so many other guys falter in. So it's been really impressive to watch him overall. And like, this is, if they give this version of him again, they always have a chance because he can get to the places that he needs to go. And he's just a tough shot maker. So many of the shots that he was hitting, Matt, like these were the double clutch pump fakes, jumping up in the air around the contest at the basket. And he's making them. And it's just so impressive the way that he's contorting his body and just using his athleticism to his advantage now. It's just not something that he had done a lot.
Chet Holmgren was plus 32 yesterday. He's a minus 20 tonight. So I guess he's a plus 12 on the 2 games, which I guess is like, that's a good net.
But you know who I want to give a lot of credit there? 2 guys that spent a lot of time defending Chet Holmgren today were Michael Porter and Russell Westbrook. I thought that both of those guys were a lot more improved just in terms of that matchup specifically. Murray got caught a couple of times fouling him. Chet does this really good spin where he then throws his arms through the contest. It's impossible not to foul him in that situation because of how good he is at getting to that spot. But Russ did a great job, and he underrated game today, much better than he was previously in this last game. And then Michael Porter, less points, plus 10 in a game as opposed to minus 33 in the game yesterday. And there are some.
Do you think Mike played well?
Do I think Mike played well?
Yeah.
I thought he played all right. Yeah.
On another day, we will
be another day, huh?
we will talk about the transition defense of Michael Porter Jr. and how I am going to gouge my eyes out with a rusty nail if I have to watch him jog back while his guy hits another open corner three. It's killing me. It's killing me inside.
He amped it up in the fourth quarter, I will say that.
Yeah,
and just
once the momentum got going, they absolutely ran over him.
Yeah, and that's just an important aspect of things. Like, that was what OKC had done previously to them. So the fact that Denver can do it to OKC does give me some confidence in this matchup again. They're like, look, there were a lot of folks, and I know that there's actually, I'm going to save that. That's going to stay in house. I can't say it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that one after the lights go off.
Yeah.
All right. On the other side, we'll get to Peyton Watson, but we'll talk about Nikola Jokic, his performance, and the MVP, all of that. We'll get to that up next here on Locked On Nuggets. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to the DoorDash Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. If you need a quick and easy lunch the next day, with Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up for Dash Pass. You got to sign up for the Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. NBA 50. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. We're also brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters, the Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. You can get in on the underdogs. You can get in on the overdogs. You can get on whatever dogs you want. You can call them on FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. You fool.
I scrolled past it too far.
Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us.
Matt, I don't know if you heard this, but I think the Nuggets need to go after Ayo. Says Sal Cali. I think that's a good idea. You should talk to our co-host. I
wish somebody had mentioned it. Like, yeah, why didn't any of us think it? Why didn't any of us say this?
Yeah, it's. He's underrated.
Or Chris Dunn, somebody
not on the radar. Just interesting stuff.
Okay, so Joker finishes with 35, 18, and 8. And the reason I do think this game is important is there was, to me, like an interesting kind of thing. Like, he looked pretty frustrated in the half. They had led for most of the first half, and then the Thunder went on a second quarter run, and they finished it was like getting away, and the Thunder already had 70, and it was pretty rough. And then Joker was like shaking his head, and Jamal led them and helped them get back, and everybody stepped up, and then like Joker engages. And once that starts happening, then it's just like, it really is pounding the rock, man. It just like the Spurs always talk about. It's just pounding the rock. That comes from a Spanish poem that talks about how when the stonecutter breaks a stone, he knows it's not the final blow, but all that came before it. And it's a really beautiful kind of idea, and it encapsulates how the Spurs do business. And it's in their locker room in all these different languages, and it's really cool. Jokic pounded the rock tonight. It's just like over and over and over again. And once it gets easier and easier because guys are hitting shots, and yeah, you got to hit the shots, and yeah, you got to shoot well. And yes, the Nuggets shot 18 of freaking 32 from 3. But if he can get those kind of performances on open, good looks, like you were talking about, it's going to make things easier. And Joker's going to he's going to be able to play at the MVP level. You're not going to be able to just swarm him and shut him down and make it that easy. And that's a credit to Peyton Watson, who is 4-4 from 3-point range. I don't know what to make of him not playing yesterday. And like, did they have a conversation? Was it always the plan because of the back-to-back? Was it weird? Like, was it the Aaron injury yesterday, but they stuck with the same game plan, and then today it was a different, like, I don't know. But Peyton was 4-4, and also let's give the shout out where it belongs here. Russell Westbrook, 3 of 5 from 3-point range. The corner threes were absolutely massive.
He was fantastic tonight. Like, there's no doubt about it. They don't win this game without Russell Westbrook, and a lot of people are adding me on socials and saying, yeah, the reason why they won was because they started Russ. Like, I'm not going to go that far. That's not what this is supposed to be about. He played a big role and they won, and it was great. Like, it was awesome, and glad to see that him having success was a big deal. But no, it's just nice to see him continue to fit in. And there was some talk on socials earlier today about the lineup. I want to circle back to Jokic MVP in just a bit, but about Denver going small and them deciding, okay, and you've talked about this before, working through something rather than just going away from it. Like, the lineup that they started today was a +4 net rating heading into the game. It had previously been really much better. Defense had been faltering for sure. The offense was slowing down. And so rather than go away from it, the Nuggets worked through it, and they found different connections throughout the game, obviously. But that starting group, still pretty good. Held their salt, did what they needed to do in order to be successful. And Russ was a big part of that. He wasn't super involved as a scorer initially, but then, like, as they continued to double Jokic, as they continued to leave him open, he took the shots that he needed to take, and he hit them this time. And it was a big, big, big deal.
Every time Russell Westbrook comes up, you are that meme of that person that is crying and angry with the little happy face. Every single time. It's so apparent.
Can't I just enjoy a Nuggets victory over the best team?
Because I can tell, it just bleeds out of you how much you're like, yeah, Russ was
here's
good.
The best timeline is for me to be as miserable as possible. Yes. And that's fine. Like, that's as some of my friends have said, that's my cross to bear, Matt. That's my cross to bear. That's your cross. Let's get back to Jokic MVP. I titled the pod on the last show, SGA wins MVP battle. And like that, among other things that we titled with, because he did. It was pretty clear. Wadislav says it there. Yeah, no SGA loses MVP battle in the title today. I'll just let you know, I didn't title the pod today. This was Matt. So that's part of the reason why. I think that, look, it's more than that. It just is. Denver as a team needs to prove that they can win as a team. And that was so much more important than an individual MVP battle today. And I was very happy to see Denver all playing in concert, stepping up in those non-Jokic minutes the way that they did. Like, they won by 13, Matt. They were +5 in the non-Jokic minutes. There were only 8 of them, but they were +5, and that's a big deal. It really is a big deal.
The non-Jokic minutes have been pretty good lately.
Non-Jokic minutes, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been great. And that's exactly. Shout out Zeke Naji, by the way.
I don't think it was just Zeke. I think when we talk about, I think that's what the fans will want to do, because we're always trying to raise up the young guy. I think if we look at, one thing I do want to shout out, Zeke has been part of this. Jalen Pickett's actually been part of this. He's a really good screener. P. Watt was pretty good with it, and MPJ was really good with it tonight too. In those non-Jokic minutes, they are screening a lot better, and they're getting a lot more separation on these screens, and that's helping a ton. It's just their offense looks, and part of that is just because Murray's actually moving. But it's also, I'm just telling you, they're getting more clearance on these things. If Jamal doesn't have a guy on his hip the entire time, he's going to be able to create the space that he needs. He doesn't need a ton, but he does need a little bit. And so you got to be able to create it. And both the screen scheme and the screens they're setting have been much better. That's a tiny detail that I think is really important.
Of course.
I want to
space.
So I wrote on Fanside today about why one game should not decide the MVP, the head-to-head battle. It's stupid to battle it this way. I went ahead on Locked On NBA and I did the exact same thing. So I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to tell you that, like, just goes to show you why Jokic is the MVP, because that's not how it works. It's an 82 game thing. But anyone that's like, well, in that Sunday game, they need to be shouted down as constantly and consistently as possible that on the back-to-back in a tougher environment, Jokic got the better of the opponent. That he was missing his starting power forward. Yes, J-Dub was out, and yes, J-Dub's an awesome player. But both teams were in a bad spot. Joker stepped up and got this win. Like, you just can't use it. You just don't get to use it. Now, you shouldn't use it in the first place because the whole idea of it's really stupid. But if you're going to do it, you can't do that anymore. Also, I was really hoping that Jamal would finish with more points so I could be like, yes, Jamal's the MVP now.
It's nice to have a guy that steps up in that regard and really picks up the pieces, really picks up his slack of things. And it was great. Like he stepped up in a big way. On the Jokic front, of course, like we had just come off of a 30-20-20 game. And the entire storyline, like not the entire thing, because the elbow, definitely like him falling on Sunday, like it definitely affected the shot. Like that was something that happened. And clearly he worked through it and he was fine today. And he shot the ball better, although he didn't take that many threes. What did he finish with? 1 of 2. The 1 3 that he did hit was a big one. Denver was down 89-86, and they finally tied it back up. And it felt like there was some momentum there towards the end of the third quarter when he finally did hit that shot. But just the efficiency with which he played with, Matt.
Yeah.
15 of 20, 1 of 2 from 3, 4 of 5 from the line. Again, he's not getting to the free throw line a ton in these matchups. They're not really fouling him. At least, like, not to the degree that most Nuggets fans are screaming that he is getting fouled. But only 1 turnover in this game. Against that defense.
This is a genuine sentiment. I am not just saying this. I genuinely think that after the first quarter, the Nuggets got a bad whistle tonight. I genuinely think they got a bad whistle. Like, I commented on several calls I thought were bad.
Yeah.
Like, I promise, guys, when I think it's a bad call, I'll call it out. I really will. When I think you're getting a bad whistle, I'll say it. I just don't always agree because with you guys, it's almost always in a big matchup when you're losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a coincidence.
Dagnall taking that foul taking that technical early, by the way, that's what flipped it. And so that's why Malone takes it when he does. And it's very strategic, and Dagnall did the right thing and they got a better whistle. It just didn't matter because Denver was on fire.
So Sean is rabble-rousing. Matt, explain why you believe in OKC's young guys when all of them are young, and you express skepticism about all young players. Ryan, what did I say on the Locked On NBA Squad Show?
Effectively, and you guys will listen to this. Make sure to listen to this when you can, when it comes out tomorrow afternoon. Matt basically said, it should happen. It should happen for this team. It should make sense. It won't. And the most likely situation is that they just find a way to miss shots and the moment will get too big for them and they will find some way for it to not work. And it's unfortunate because, well, not really for Nuggets fans' perspectives, but like it's very interesting that you're 100% right on that like, look, guys, some of the young guys tonight didn't make the shots that they needed to make in a game where Denver shot 56% from 3, 40% for mere mortals, where Chet Holmgren goes 0 of 5 and Jalen Williams went 1 of 3, and big Jalen Williams, who shot 3 of 5 the game before, only shot 0 of 3 tonight.
Let's give J-Dub a break. He was 1 of 3, was a +8. He was a big part of that second quarter run.
Oh, yeah, more of what I'm just talking about the overall 3-point picture.
And like, look, Lou Dort got 8 of 4, which is why, like, look, tonight really was the offense, right? It wasn't the defense because like Lou Dort got consistent open corner threes and knocked down 8 of 4.
Now, I will say that was the game plan. That was clearly the game plan for Denver in the second half, especially. They were just going to let Lou Dort shoot.
Yeah, and you look, Lou Dort is 39% last year, and he's 39% this year. Okay. Sean, one of the differences is honestly this, is that how can I put this? OKC is pretty militant about its player selection process. You have to be certain things. The Nuggets are like a normal organization where they're like, We liked his skill set. We felt good about his personality. We thought that he could bring something to us. We thought he was a really talented player, so we brought him in. That's like 28 of the NBA franchises. The Thunder are not wired that way. They are wired entirely differently. They get certain guys with certain, and they make it apparent from day one what the expectation, standards, and the plan is going to be. Everything is meticulous. Everything is hyper detailed. Like if I saw that same kind of stuff from Denver, I would talk about that. So that's the difference here, is that I have more confidence in OKC's young guys, in part because that's all they have. But also because of their selection process and how they develop players. They're just the best developmental team in the league. There's no way to argue it. There's no way to argue it. They are the best developmental team in the league. And if I saw the same kind of stuff from Denver's young guys, then I would say that. I promise you that, like, if I was like, they're just way, 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 way better, this is not close, then I would feel that way. But it's more like Zeke has good months and good stretches. And then, well, the rest of his NBA career. And like Julian has good weeks and good days. And then there's the defense. Jalen Pickett is having like Pickett was great tonight, by the way.
Honestly, like Pickett might just be a guy for them at this point. It's been awesome to watch.
He's been really great. Adam's going to be absolutely insufferable. It's terrible.
Hate him.
But so, yeah. And like Sean does mention this, and I think this matters. It helps that OKC, they're all lottery picks. Yes.
They have the flexibility to go get those guys at the lottery level that no other team has that capable flexibility. We should talk about Peyton, though. Like that's the next one that we have to talk about. So 6 minutes that he played on Sunday, looked horrible. Didn't look like he was ready for that moment. And he comes back the next night, 4 of 4 from 3, making some important shots, talking to the Thunder bench. Not like I thought in the early stages of his stint, he was running wild. Like Aaron Wiggins was sending him through some vertigo on the right side of the floor, and it wasn't looking good. And Denver took a timeout, and I think Malone probably went over to Peyton, or somebody went over to Peyton and talked to him about it. But his rim protection was really good. His deterrence was really good. His athleticism was really good. And just his fly around mentality. That's what you need against this team.
Okay. So, like William encapsulates what drives me crazy. William says P. Watt was the difference. That is not true. Jamal Murray was the difference tonight. Do not do that. Like Peyton Watson was not the difference. The difference was like the Nuggets' entire team shooting the freaking lights out.
He was part of that.
He was part of that. And what?
And
P. Watt played really well. I think a lot of it is like this from that is loud. Is like a lot of it crucial blocks, crucial threes. Peyton, and I've always said this, Peyton's plays are loud. And that's what fans, I think, love.
Yeah.
Is like you can easily recognize loud plays. I am obsessed with quiet plays because I'm a psycho. I am literally watching every foul SGA has grifted this year.
Yeah.
Because I hate myself.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's not as bad as you think it is.
You're the guy who voted for Harden, right?
I am. I think that Peyton was great in this game. I am really curious about like what was the process, right? Like Malone has also said this, like I am left to always try and fill in gaps for what we don't know with Malone because I don't accept the idea that he's just stupid. Like I don't accept that. I don't accept that Michael Malone's stupid or a bad coach or any of this nonsense that I get in the comments because I've been covering the man for 10 years. Like I don't know Michael Malone well, but I know a lot about how he coaches basketball just by sheer presence of being around it. And I'll just tell you, like, these are ones where I just wonder what the decision process was, whether it was like, did he go to Peyton and be like, hey, I want to give you a shot tonight because they're trying out different lineups and they wanted to see what else worked? Was it they had a game plan going in and when AG went out, it got mixed up? Malone has often made the comment about certain guys being like, that's on me to find time to play him. That's on me. Like he'll take responsibility for it. So I don't want to remove responsibility from Malone on these things. I don't want to do that, except to acknowledge that sometimes these things are not as simple as the coach. Like fans think that the coaches make all of the rotation decisions, and that's not how it works in the NBA. And that's why I'm always kind of pushing back on. But they are definitely part of that process. And so it's good that Peyton played tonight. It's good that Peyton had a great game, and I was really excited to see it because this is still a guy that I think is going to have a great career.
Yeah.
Even with this year, I think he has had a nightmare season. I also still believe that this kid's going to be great by the time he's 28. I think he's going to be really good. Good contributions from everybody tonight. They just got really good contributions, and that really matters. Like when the Nuggets look like they're not, and these are the games that I always think about when it's like, when everybody's like, look at this roster and how crappy it is. And I'm just like, that's just not true. They're not as good. They're not the best roster in the league, and they're not the roster that is befitting of a standard that Nikola Jokic sets. I don't know that any team in NBA history outside of the 2017 Warriors is that. But like, there's guys on this team, and they all made huge plays tonight. All of them made huge plays. Christian, after I talked about how SGA ISO'd and really went at him, Christian was up to the challenge tonight. Malone's defensive strategy to get the ball out of Shea's hands and make other guys beat them, phenomenal. Some of that was J-Dub being out. Nonetheless, there's defensive problems for Denver with Aaron Gordon out, and they were able to cover tonight effectively enough for them to win when they shot 18 of 32 from the field. I always wonder about the offense and like, can you just win games with offense? And the Thunder put up 127. I don't have the per 100s in front of me. I'll look them up, but I am just kind of curious about like, look, they can't win a series if they don't play better defense. Ryan, you and I are going to agree on that.
Yeah.
Can they win game 2, game 5?
Oh yeah, no, you can win single games like this. And that's what people don't realize fully about the playoffs. There are going to be times where shots just go in, and that's how you win. Like there are also going to be times where shots don't go in, and you need to figure out a way to fight, scrap, and claw. So that's the important aspect of a series. You need to be able to win a variety of different ways, a variety of different styles of games, because teams are going to be throwing so many different punches in your way, and you just have to find a way to dodge and weave a little bit and land the right ones yourself. So this was a great one from Denver. I want to circle back. You talked about the full roster. Denver, when everybody is in concert, like you look up and down at what they've been able to provide. Michael Porter's had great moments this year. Aaron Gordon's had great moments this year. Christian Brown's had great moments this year. Russell Westbrook's had great moments this year. Peyton Watson, Zeke Naji, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett. You circle back to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, and you're suddenly at 9 right there. I didn't even include DeAndre Jordan, who has had great moments this year. He's been a while since he's played, but has had great moments this year. Denver, if you're going to win a championship, all of the pieces just need to be locked in concert at the same time. You don't need all 8 players playing well all the time in a playoff run, but you need each of them to be able to have moments. And I do feel comfortable that Denver will have enough moments that they'll certainly get through a first round. They might even get it through a second round. I still don't know if they have enough to get through all 4 rounds, but you have to leave open the possibility, and I will never cut it off, because they have Jokic. And because if Murray's playing like this, if he's at this level, then you just don't need that much more on a consistent basis if those guys can give you, on average, 55 points in a series.
Yeah. Great win. An important win. They beat a good team, Ryan. You may finally rest.
4-12. They're now 4-12 versus the top 4s in each of the conferences. And like, they don't have that many more opportunities against those teams. The ones that they do have remaining, I would like to continue to see them play well. But I asked this question on Twitter earlier. What more can people see from this team for the rest of this month that would help kind of shift their perspective? There's not much more that they can do. They just have to get healthy, I think.
The Nuggets get the Lakers on Friday.
That would be a pretty good feel-good win. Although they're not going to face LeBron.
No, but if they win and they go to,
still feel pretty good.
They go to 5, and the Eastern Conference ones don't count because they're in the East.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about them until June.
Don't worry about those. Great win, fun win. Swipe will give you his thoughts tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate everybody joining us on the live show and checking us out. Even if you're listening to the podcast, wherever. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy this Nuggets win. It was absolutely phenomenal. My thanks to Ryan Blackbird, and catch his work at Mile High Sports and on the Pick Action Roll podcast. We'll see you guys again tomorrow for Swipe a Show, and then No Jinx tomorrow night. Thanks for joining us. See you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.
They beat a good